Special greetings and special welcome. Be locked into the A1 station. Yes, originally every time www.sfdcradio.com. My name is Kush Genesis. This is the Nubian Beat Show coming to you originally Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. till midnight. It's log on, spread the word, get the people in to tune in. Yes, blessed welcome. This part of the program, this part of the journey we're about to embark upon with our guests in the studio. Originally, yes, Myrna Lloyd, aka DJ Lady Lloyd. I should have asked her to bring some tune, because I'm sure the last time I was talking to Myrna Lloyd, aka DJ Lady Lloyd, it was about the women's DJ event. Yes,
that's right. Yeah.
Firstly, I want to say special greetings to you and welcome to the show, SFDC Radio. Myrna Lloyd, aka DJ Lady Lloyd. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing good.
Excellent, thank you. Beautiful every time for joining us in the studio. In England, folks, this is United Kingdom. We're in Luton town. It's cold. It started to get nippy. We've got the heating on, yes, so we give thanks and praise when our guests do venture out in this cold and endeavor and reach in our studio. Bless her. In a nutshell, again, also Myrna Lloyd. For the benefit of our listeners, who is Myrna Lloyd?
Myrna Lloyd. Well, I always say I wear many hats, but what hat do I have on today? I think I have on the hat of the publisher of Black Bright News.
Yes.
And basically, I've just started a talk show that educates young people about, the facts of life, but not the sexual facts of life, but the other facts of life. About drugs, about relationships, about where they get their perception of their appearance, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm on that kind of situation, but to me it's all one thing. It's all about stimulating, motivating and educating the masses.
Yes, a lot of empowerment going on there. So let's touch on your Black Bright News magazine. Yes, and for some of our listeners who may not have heard about the Black Bright News magazine, just to back up a little bit, rewind a little bit, tell us just in a nutshell the inspiration behind bringing this to fruition, to embarking upon this particular project.
Well, the initial inspiration had to do with lethargy, or lethargy as some people call it. Being surrounded by people who didn't seem to be motivated. And it made me question, because I spent 11 years in the United States, it made me question what the difference was, why the people in the United States were so get up and go. The people in the UK were just kind of couch potatoes watching, the soaps and stuff like that. So when I originally thought about Black Bright News, I was thinking, what can I do to make these people get up and go? And then I started thinking about what role models could I use, what material could I use. And it's kind of evolved over the time, because I've still found it's been an uphill struggle, because it's always a question of taking the mountain to Mohammed, because people are still lethargic.
Yes.
But what I'm learning now is that you just have to find out where people's interests lie. Once you find that out, you're on a roll. Okay,
interested indeed. And even before we delve deep into, I know we've got this month's Black Bright News, and I want to look at some of the features within the magazine. But before that, we're within the United Kingdom is Black History Month, and Black History Month. What does it mean to you personally, as a person? What does Black History Month mean to you?
Well, it's I guess it's something that, as a black person, depending on where you are and what you're doing, it's something to exploit. You see, because I'm not quite sure of its effectiveness in the UK.
Right.
Yes, I like the fact that we have people like Andrew Mohammed, who comes down and raises awareness of our relationship to Egypt, our history.
Yes.
But, by and large, it seems to be not an excuse, but I don't think it's being promoted in the right way.
Okay, interesting. So, from your own opinion then, and your own view, and your own understanding from your own research, what should it be about?
I think it should be about promoting the traits of the leaders, finding out who who was effective? People like Malcolm X, people like Martin Luther King. What made them who they are? What made them have that resilience to get people together to make a change, to facilitate the civil rights movement, the 1 million man march, things like that. Find out those traits, put them into our people today, and then I think you can have some kind of continuity of that kind of legacy.
Yeah, interesting. You're locked in. If you just tuned in, you wonder what's going on. You're tuned into www.sfdcradio.com. My name is Kush Genesis. This is the original Nubian Beat. Currently talking to my guest in the studio, Myrna Lloyd, aka DJ Lady Lloyd. Yes, and we're going to be touching on Black History Month. I want to look at some of the features in our magazine. Again, a very informative. It's all about information. Yes, stimulation. Yes, even Myrna Lloyd, how long have you resided in Luton?
I came here in 2001.
Okay, 2001.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're in Black History Month, and we're looking at the last 10 years. How do you feel we've progressed? Do you feel the African Caribbean has progressed or regressed?
I feel it's changed, because when I first came here, I was quite active, and I was on one of the first Black History Month committees.
All right.
And that was being run by Patrick with Ninja, I think.
Yes. Oh, AWCDF.
Yeah.
Patrick Ninja, Patrick Markland.
Yeah, he was on the board, and we had Rose, and we had I didn't really know many of the people then, but they're people who I've seen quite prominent in the community now. So, and we had somebody called Robert Nugent, who I felt was really, really powerful.
All right.
We had some really influential people. I think the first one was quite good, but I don't think it was promoted well enough.
Yes.
What I'm finding now is that, yes, we have people like Ahead, who I feel are really doing a good job. But you have they've got a play on this weekend that's got Rosa Parks and stuff like that. So as long as you're kind of educating, yeah, that's it.
This one here?
Yeah, yes. Watch your mouth.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, yes, as long as you're educating the masses, I think it works. And yes, we do have, what's the guy with the PhD, the one with the locks.
Dr. Les Henry.
Yeah, Les Henry.
Yes.
When you have people like that come in, Andrew Mohammed, and people who are going to elevate us and,
yes.
Give us new information, I think it works.
Okay.
But not just a party and just have a dance and anything for Black History Month. I don't think that's the purpose.
Yes, serious. Black History Month, we've been saying for the last few days, even since this month started, about it being a time to, I suppose, reflect, to remember, to reassess. And for us, naturally, the struggle starts from where we are. We're in Luton. And I was observing and reflecting how my father is 79 years old. And he still organized a lot of domino matches and dances for the elder, for the bigger people and they're always successful. He doesn't want no promotion at all. It's so successful, he asks me not to even mention it on the radio. Yeah. And the beauty about it is that every month they go somewhere different. Peterborough, Cardiff, Bradford, Derby. And the one thing I notice about everywhere he goes, he goes to a community centre that's African Caribbean owned.
Okay.
And it makes me ask the question, why haven't we got an African Caribbean owned centre in Luton? Is that ever something that I don't know, that you're reflective of? Is that something you think we need? What is your view? Especially when it comes to centralizing. Where do we organize it? Where do we come together as a people?
Well, the thing is, I think when you go to these events, you never know if people are just running it or whether they own it. That's the first thing. Because you don't really know the background. Because if you go to Lucy Learning Centre, you see Roy, and you feel, some people might feel he owns it. You know, people who comes out with, he's just running it.
That seems to become very controversial. I've noticed for the last couple of days, a lot of people have been expressing a similar kind of mixed feelings as to whether they're for the community. And somebody, and our Master Silver Fox went on air and basically blazed fire upon the same club. You know.
Oh, you're talking about Lucy Club. I'm talking about Lucy Learning Centre.
Oh, okay.
There's two.
Oh, yes.
There's two. Yes. So
that's interesting. Yeah, Learning Centre. Yes.
Yeah, the Learning Centre is more for the community.
Yes.
It's cheap to get in. You know, they do a lot of events. They do a lot of learning. They do a lot of education, and I feel as though they actually help if you want funding, if you want a grant. You know, they're doing a lot of stuff. Lucy Club, on the other hand, is a different ball game. I think that's more for profit.
Okay.
And I think, you know, I don't know if that's, I think that's rented out. I don't think it's owned.
Okay.
So I think until you get your own black club or whatever it is, that is the point you get a sense of pride.
Yeah.
You remember when we went to the UK Carnival Arts and they were doing the awards?
Yes.
And Leslie Palmer.
Yes.
Leslie Palmer. I always get the two of them confused. And he was talking about the carnival. When it started, they had a sense of pride because they created it.
Yeah.
Now the police taken over, the government's taken over. Yes. You know, that we haven't got that sense of ownership. So we've lost that loyalty. So it is about having something you own, but do people really care enough to want to own something? That's
right.
You know what I mean?
Which is interesting because, you know, once you can get them to care to own something, as if they'll look after it more, because especially your community, you know what I mean? If you know you're part of building something, you know what I mean, then you take more pride, you know, which is obviously another debatable area, because obviously there's many different school of thoughts to that. But yeah, but beautiful. But just to get back on your magazine, Myrna Law, you know, tell us about some of the features. And this month particular, Black History Month in the United Kingdom, yes, Black Bright News magazine. I'm looking at the front cover here, nice brown cover. I see a black brother shedding tears. Now, how many times do you see a black man shedding tears? What is going on here? Yes, so. Okay, firstly, tell us about the features in this month's magazine.
Well, I thought that was a very potent image, a black man shedding a tear, because it makes people question what makes a black man cry. And the black man is raised to give the appearance of resilience and strength and fortitude, when deep inside he could be, you know, hurting, feeling pain. And that was actually... I actually composed a poem to reflect that bit.
Well, on that, Okay.
Yeah. So that's actually a poem.
Yes.
What makes a black man cry?
Would that be nice to hear some of that poem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As you touch on some of the features, it would be nice to hear some if we can get to turn to that page.
Yeah, and we'll do that poem.
And touch on that poem.
Because it is quite a potent poem.
Yes.
What makes a black man cry? Seeing how easy it is for his son to die. When trying desperately to preserve what is left of his life, his relationships break down, and so does his wife. Constantly robbed of his self-esteem, lack of an achievable vision destroys his dream. What makes a black man cry? Getting caught up in a situation he found hard to resist, regretting his choices and the opportunities he's missed. Displaying a front that says, I'm the big I am, so that his brothers will think that he is the man. But he's found out and feeling ostracized, because as a result of his stupidity, someone has died. He tries to contain the evidence of his woe, because he didn't want his parents to know. It's hard playing tough and living a lie, and that's what makes a black man cry. He cries for the men who feel they have to pretend. He hopes his tears will bring it all to an end. The disappointment and disempowerment is seen on his face when his mother and father hold their heads down in disgrace. When the salt in your tears permeates your lips, remember the new moon always precedes an eclipse. Trauma and regret will say it's goodbye. So my vulnerable black man, it's okay to cry.
Well, give thanks. Thank you very much, sister. Sometimes we feel like cry. Give thanks. That's true. Beautiful poem. Fantastic. Yeah. And I'm no doubt many brothers we can relate to that, even though enough we cry, even though we do it in silence, because there come emotional times. So we give thanks. And again, many of us brothers who, especially when we congregate, we talk about being in touch with our feminine side, because we know we're from mothers. We have mothers. Every man, no matter who the man is, or bad him is, or tough him is a woman him come true. Yeah, so there's a part of us which is feminine naturally and masculine, and it's just about understanding the balance and being tuned in. Beautiful. Tell us some more of the other features of the poem, of the magazine, please, Myrna.
Well, there's an article in here about does the gun entice us to kill?
Does the gun entice us to kill? Interesting.
And that goes into why the gun was made, and the thought behind the mindset of the person who made the gun, and how the instinct, the reptilian brain is put in there to protect ourselves, and how sometimes you go armed with a gun in order to protect yourself and to throw the other person off, and you find yourself using it. And it talks about the mindset when you have a gun and what makes you pick up the gun.
Okay. Yes.
So it is premeditated in the mind of the person who created the gun that we kill each other. So it goes a little bit into that.
Okay. Yes. Very, very hard. Yes. Does the gun entice us to kill? Interesting reading.
We also have something in here about the first black judge.
The first black judge? Who?
Yeah, who was
in the United Kingdom or in the world?
No, she's actually in the world, the first black judge.
Okay.
She went by the name of Charlotte E. Ray. And this went all the way back in the 1850s. But yeah, a lot of people don't know that, so that tells you a bit about that.
Charlotte E. Ray, she was born in New York City, January the 13th, 1850.
Yeah,
wow.
That's right.
She had 2 sisters and 4 brothers. Her father, Charles Burnett Ray, a pastor, well-known abolitionist. He was also an editor of an anti-slavery newspaper called The Colored American. Wow, okay. Charlotte's father played an important role in her life and always stressed the importance of education to his children. Beautiful. Yeah, the first black judge. Did you know that? Yes, Charlotte E. Ray. Do your research. Go in the computer. Do your research and check it out for yourself.
Yeah, and then we go into some of the leaders in black history. And, a lot of times we're reminded of the American leaders, so we've got some of the Caribbean and African leaders in here.
Well, let's read a couple of these leaders then, Myrna. Just give us a couple. Is there a male and a female, one of each or something?
Yeah, we've got a male and a female. We've got Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler. Okay. She became the first black female doctor in the United States. Okay. We've got, of course, Paul Bogle and his brother Moses led the historic march in the passive resistance to injustice on the 11th of October in 1965. We have Senator John Hanson. He's a Liberian senator from Guinea, from Guinea-Bissau. He championed the relocation of slaves.
Yes, to Liberia. Yes, fantastic.
And of course we have Samuel Sharp, Marcus Magaya, Nanny of the Maroons.
Nanny, yes.
And somebody who's not really spoken about much is somebody called Jupiter Hammond. He was a black poet.
I haven't heard of, must admit, haven't heard of Jupiter Hammond at all.
Exactly. And he was the first African American writer to be published in the present day United States. Okay. So that was quite an achievement.
Jupiter Hammond. Okay, in your computers, do your research. The truth will set you free, but you must first do your own research for yourself. Jupiter Hammond, check it out. Beautiful.
We then have the frequently asked questions about Black History Month.
Yes, what are some of these frequently asked questions about Black History Month?
Why it was established and what was its aim, when the Black History Month was set up and by whom, what form do events take and where are they held, if Black History Month derives from the US, why and when was it set up there, what are the dates for Black History Month and why October? Who celebrates Black History Month? Who runs Black History Month and who's the official body behind it?
Right.
Why do black people need a Black History Month? And why is there a Black History Month magazine and where can you get it?
All right.
And then the Black History Month is the Black History Month recognised by government? And how has it grown over the years? This was actually taken from the Black History Month Co-UK website.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's an authentic website. And very, very useful.
Excellent.
www.blackhistorymonth.co.uk
website. Check it out. Also, all your answers to those questions. Yes, fabulous. Yes, a basic understanding. As we go through. Lots in the paper, this newspaper, and it's beautifully set out too. I like the way it's set out. I like the size of your writing, etc. Because I haven't got good eyes myself, you know what I mean? So, you know,
and you'll notice it's infiltrated with a lot of inspirational images, inspirational texts, you know, something to uplift you.
Which balances the two, which balances like the psychobiology of the way the mind operates, the theory and the pictorial.
Exactly.
Yeah. So again, that is also very unique. Do we have what it takes to be leaders? Interesting question, that one.
Yeah,
touched on that one. Do we have what it takes to be leaders? It does make you wonder. The other day I was saying leaders are like shepherds, you know, leading the sheep.
What do you mean, they're current leaders, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think they've been so stamped out, haven't they? I think they've been so stamped upon. And, you know, the way the UK is, you're forced to conform.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even if you do have a little bit of oomph, they'll find some way to stamp it out of you.
Break that and out that fire.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? That revolutionary spirit, because when we look from the history of Marcus Garvey and like you say, the heroes and the sheroes, some of who you've mentioned, that revolutionary spirit, because you see there is a cause, because there's a work that can only be done by the people themselves. You see? Yeah,
but the thing is, you know, if you look at America, you get a certain amount of freedom of speech, and they do allow people to congregate and, you know, speak and do whatever. They don't allow this here. Even with the carnival, you know, they make sure they're over.
What's that about from your view? Then what's that in your analysis? That's interesting, because especially as somebody who's been into America also, you know. And what, 12 years, 13 years, did you say?
Yeah, I was there for 12 years.
Okay, you know what I mean? And then coming back, because I've never been to America. I've travelled many parts of the world musically. I still want to go to America, but I've never been there yet, you know? But I used to wonder often, because I read about Marcus Garvey in America all the time, why was it more vibrant? Why was it? Is it because, slavery literally happened there and it didn't happen here?
There's something about America that is liberating. You know, I went there as a mature woman. I didn't have to worry about my age. I didn't have to worry about what I was wearing, whether it was appropriate, whether it's not appropriate. Right. You don't have to worry if you have a man or if you don't have a woman or if you have a kid or whatever. You know, you're just accepted, and providing you do whatever it is you're doing and you're not causing no big problem or anything, you know, you can just be yourself. You can be totally yourself. What I found when I came here is that as soon as I stepped off the plane, I felt I needed to conform. I felt as though, you know, when you see the way people operate, you feel as though you should be in a partnership. You should be a couple. You should have a man should have a woman, or else there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean? And then, you know, they make you conform in a lot of subtle ways. And it's the same reason why we don't have leaders, because what they do is any type of congregation, unless it's the church, if the church was smart, they would be able to create leaders. But, you know, I'm not knocking the churches, but they're the only people the police don't touch. You see what I mean? The police don't go and monitor the churches. So if the churches had, you know, their heads screwed on, I believe there's one in Sundon Park actually. That has a different agenda. All right. A positive agenda. Okay, because some of these churches do need knocking. And it's an enlightenment agenda, and it's talking about awareness, your history, Egypt, relating it to the Bible, and all that kind of stuff. Wow, yeah. So, you know, what I'm saying is that yes, it's, you know, I believe in God. But when you see the people sleeping, and you know they're kind of losing their will,
Yes.
You know, you have to think, what can I do about it? And I think the church is the only people that probably can do it unmonitored, you know, or get to a certain level without being monitored. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, for our people to grow, that's the only way, you know, for them to be educated and uplifted in some way.
Serious something indeed. SFDC Radio. Yes, Kush Genesis, the Nubian beat. Yes, if you logged on, yes, special greetings talking to Myrna Lowe, aka DJ Lady Lowe. Yes, looking through some of the features of the magazine. Yes, the founder, she's the founder and the director. Yes, this particular chapter we were looking at, do we have what it takes to be leaders? Yes, and that is a deep subject in itself. That's a deep discussion itself. That's a whole show.
Well, you'll see that I put a job description.
Yeah.
So, you know, it will show you that, you know, have you got the trait to be leaders? Yeah. Do you have these competencies or, you know, qualifications? You'll find that most of us do have them. You know what I mean? It's not as hard as it looks. You know, you look at people like Marcus Garvey. What did he have? He had commitment and determination. You know what I mean? And he had a vision. And he wanted to make a change. Yes. And that's all you really need to be a leader, and to stick through it. You know what I mean?
Very true. Very true, sister. I give thanks to that. And I like, she said when she reaffirmed again, Emmanuel reaffirmed, especially vision. Marcus Garvey had vision. And, you know, and right now we have leaders. We have many people who sometimes call themselves leaders, and they haven't mentioned one of those qualities Sister Emmanuel have just mentioned. Yeah, they mention a whole lot of other things, yes, and don't mention none of those qualities. Yes, you know, and that's why there's also a book titled What It Takes to Be a Great Leader, something to that effect, by Reverend Aishakabusha Barashango, a Christian, but also from a Pan-Africanist perspective also. Again, leadership is very crucial. Do we need leadership? You know, because, again, some people are talking about they don't want to be controlled by nobody, and yet some people are talking about they're waiting for the next Moses, they're waiting for the next Marcus Garvey, they're waiting for the next Bob Marley. You know what I mean? Are you waiting for anybody, Mother Lloyd?
No, I'm going to be my own.
You're getting out.
I have to be my own leader, mate. I'm telling you.
Yes, serious something. Again, beautiful, but you know, what else is this? Your magazine, Mother Lloyd? Because I know there's so much here. The Soul of the Race. What's that about?
Well, that was actually written by a teacher. She lives in Hitchin. But it's actually it's quite profound. But it goes through the history of Black history, how it came about, you know, about Carter G. Woodson, who was the innovator of Black History Month, and how it affects us today and the implications of it. It's really a powerful article.
Fantastic. Again, you see, folks, facts, historical facts. Yes, Carter G. Woodson. Yes, the outstanding Black historian. Yes, Carter G. Woodson was under no illusion regarding the state of the Black race when he penned his famous quote, "For history shows that it is a nation's interpretation of their collective worth that enables inclusion into society as a whole." Black history is more relevant today than it has been ever. To justify this belief, we can produce many pertinent examples that will leave us swelling with pride. Fabulous, on and on and on. There's a big write-up. It's all about information, education, stimulation, emancipating yourself from mental slavery through the relevant knowledge, relevant education. Fantastic indeed.
And
yes.
She concludes, if I may, when I read continually of the historic achievements of my race, when in my daily walk I interact with accomplished, spiritually and culturally elevated brothers and sisters who are fully aware of our achievements as a race and seek to disseminate their knowledge with a view to strengthening all of us, I say that as a race we have achieved much historically, lost much, but also accomplished much.
Yes, powerful, yes. And it sees yourself again with the Right Honourable Margaret Garvey, as the Right Great Margaret Honourable Garvey once said, God and nature first made us. God and nature, you know. Marcus Garvey remind us, first made us what we are. And then out of our own creative genius, we make ourselves what we want to be. Follow always that great law. Let the sky and God be our limit and eternity be our measurement. This is the soul of the race. Beautiful, fantastic. Fantastic indeed. Inspiration. That's what people need, food for thoughts. Because they've taken away the change, but they use the brains, and people don't realize what that means. And it's about, you know what I mean, people are lost and comfy because history is your only guide. If you take away people's only guide, which is their history, it's no wonder they're lost and confused and don't know what's going on. And if you don't know what was going on yesterday, it's no wonder people are going to be confused today and I don't know what's going to go on for tomorrow. So there's a holistic picture we need to be mindful of, and I think it's fantastic to have magazines like this that allows us to remember, reassess, reflect, yes, and keep in tune, yes, with our reality.
But why would you say, Kush, a young person needs to know his history when the young people today are saying, you know, what's my history got to do with anything? You know, what argument would you have that would say to them, look, you need to know your history because...
Well, yeah, because the history is who you are. Because you need to know the first thing in life. We know, a lot of my workshops is that reminding many of the youngsters them that one of the great things all our ancestors have said when you go to Egypt and you do your own research is mankind know thyself. So when the question, who are you? You know what I mean? Nobody wants to be ignorant. No youngster wants to see me. So when, a youngster wants to believe he knows himself, you ask the youngster, who are you? And he's all of a sudden he's baffled because he wants to ask the right question. So he said, wait. And said, okay, let's take it. Where are you from? Where's your parents from? Where's your mother from? Where's your dad from? Where's your grandparents from? Unless you know your history, you're ignorant of self.
And do you realize in America, a lot of them don't know where their parents are from? They know that they might be born in Ohio or Washington. Yeah. But you ask an American, like we will say our parents are from Jamaica or our parents are from Nigeria. But an American born in America hardly ever know where their ancestors are from. I
think you might even find the same thing here also. You know what I mean? That, English black people born here may not know directly where, you got some group as orphans or whatever the circumstances may have been, but still there's a journey where, you know what I mean, that sooner or later, it's relevant to find out who are you.
Yeah,
and regardless how hard it is to to get on that road, everybody comes that road, and for any young person to give any young person the love and the guidance and the care, the first thing is to help them understand who they are. Yeah. Otherwise, without knowing who you are, people end up defining you and telling you who you are. People end up classifying you and you need to be able to classify yourself and define yourself, and oftentimes otherwise you end up taking on labels that they didn't give themselves. People are giving them these labels, or people are giving people labels, or you're a single parent mother, or you're a ghetto youth. So when you ask these youths, who are you? They say, oh well, I'm a ghetto youth. No, you're not. You know what I mean? These are labels that somebody else have given you. Your ghetto situations are circumstances that maybe to a great extent had nothing to do with you. You see what I'm saying? In the bigger picture of things,
Yeah.
Cool. So the struggle continues. There's a long journey. Why, the elders have reminded us, mankind know thyself. Yeah. Know what your gift is. We all have a gift and something about us that's exclusive, like our DNA. That's, and every youngster needs to know that they're precious, they're special. Obviously it could be arguable why do they need to know that. It has a lot to do with their confidence and self-esteem. Once they know, they want to get on with life. It's like some of the elders them say, once they really, a sense of purpose, and sometimes children live what they learn. It's a long way because there's confidence, there's self-esteem, there's so much things to tackle, and as a youngster myself, who was on the street, who was born in England, grew up thinking I was white and English to start off with. Knew nothing about African culture, nothing like that. All my mates were white friends. Until the skinheads made me have to do some research. And the Ku Klux Klan, because I'm wondering, who are these people?
Yeah.
I'm being told to go back where I come from, and yet I was born in England,
But but to be honest, sometimes it's about finding out what your interest is and where your passion is to motivate people. I'll tell you something, when I first started the magazine, I wanted my two daughters to help me. They weren't interested. Okay. Right? And I'm thinking no matter how I tried to word it, they weren't interested. Yes. I then set up a company, and one of my daughters is an advisor, both of them advisors, but in different fields. And I said, okay, come on board, we'll set up this. We'll do this business together. They weren't interested. I'm begging them, they ain't interested. Okay. do a radio show now. Straight talk.
Yes.
Now they're interested.
Yes.
They're proactive.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're going out and doing stuff. I don't have to say a word. I can sit back. So it's really for young people or for anybody. It's knowing where your passion is, knowing what you're interested in. Once you tone in on that, it's like you with your music. You could play this 24/7.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Nobody has to push you out of bed or tell you to get to the door.
Yes.
So it's finding what people's passion is and nurturing it. And I think a lot of us, we weren't allowed to nurture our passion.
That's right. Yes, very true, sis. Yes, very true. And sometimes your parents, they have plans already for you.
Exactly.
You see, they want
and
you.
That's what screwed most of us over.
Yeah. Well, you become a doctor, or they've got other dreams for you, or you become a great disappointment.
Yeah.
So yeah, and no doubt again, many youngsters again feel the same pressures. Those, you know what I mean? You know, expectations again, like you're saying, expectations from parents, from teachers, from friends, peer pressure. There's so much levels of expectation, and like you say, you are right. It's finding out what, because for me it was the same thing. I had to verify. I know, but naturally also I had to know who was I, because who I thought I was when I was young, I realized I wasn't that person. I realized there's something funny going on here, you know. Because the racism at that time made me to say, and I found it personally very hard to move on for me at the time, until, you know, because growing up, being told you come from a monkey was also something I had no evidence to refute it, but instinctively I couldn't accept that.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't accept that, and it had a lot to do with me moving forward. I had to do my own research. I had to go into history. I needed to find out what's going on here. History played a crucial part to me, even though I couldn't understand it fully. But Africanism, where's the cradle of civilization? And, you know, obviously, you know, we're not there to bear witness to it also. I suppose there's an element of trust in our elders and our ancestors and our teachers and our scholars, whoever's teaching us, you know, because many books you may be reading, again, it still amounts down to hearsay. So again, you know what I mean, you're trusting in elders and authors who have written these things, like, you know what I mean, but like today, generally, where it's supposed to be common knowledge that Africa is the cradle of civilization, you know, I listen to enough programs, especially the general knowledge program, and to see that come out as general knowledge, and in the basic schools today, that's not taught. You see,
yeah, but I don't understand how. I understand, yes, to have that information, but I don't understand how that will help an individual nurture their passion. You see what I mean? Yeah. I think it's more to do with the parents and, like you say, the teachers. You know, it's more to do with that, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that is relevant. That is a factor. But I think also, based upon my own experience, yeah, I grew up with an inferior complex. Yeah, I grew up with an inferior complex when I was growing up in the United Kingdom. Yes. And my inferior complex was that I assumed white was superior. Yeah, that was based upon fabricated history.
Okay.
Because of what I was taught.
But how did you reach music?
The music was part. The music, I got into music through my drum. The drum and my history is what connected. For me, when I couldn't take the schools and the establishments no more, I drew to the drums. The drum for me, from my experience, is what connected me to my culture and my history, because I needed to, somehow Africa was the call.
But then now you DJ.
Now I'm DJ.
But how did you find that this was your passion?
Through my history. And through finding myself. My history played a crucial firstly part with knowing myself. Once I found out who I was and I was comfortable with who I was, because when I didn't know myself, things that I used to do was things like go to the football match and fight. Fight people I didn't know who the heck I was fighting, because they looked at them on a different scarf. Once I got into my history and saw myself as a prince, as a king, it changed my whole vibe. Saw myself with African culture, the drum is the first. So I'm reading the history, the drum is the first communication, there's a power, there's a connection with the drum. So the history of my own history drew me to my drums. And then I realized, well, yeah, I love the drum. I feel a thing in my hands and my spirit to play the drums. And now I'm a master drummer. You know, traveling the world, playing the drums. but my history, I'm researching myself, connecting me to that in the first. So it's all interconnected. That's why I'm here. I'm just saying, for me to find that passion, which then eventually made me travel playing drums, to come back and then put the drums down and try and be a radio DJ. One thing led to another. I feel like once I knew myself, I was so confident, it's like nothing was stopping me. But I feel like once I didn't understand, once there was all these questions about who am I? Well, are white people really superior to me? Am I really inferior? Are black people really monkeys? All these things, that we were, the fabricated history. I had to really deal with all that within myself, and I don't know, maybe it's different for every person. That's why I never like to stereotype and say, well, everybody goes through the same kind of experience.
Yeah.
But for me,
because I was trying to think, I thought I was inherently a DJ because I like to play music, and I was on the radio, and I was fine while I was on the radio, listening to the tracks and then interpreting the artist. That was great. Now, put me in a dance hall situation in a club. I was fine if I could just play the music, but I'm not a DJ that's going to shout all this stupidness about two people getting to dance and, men hold up the women and all of that. What I'm trying to say is that I'm not really a DJ. I thought that because I loved music, I was a DJ. But what I found is that I'm an educator through the music.
Yes.
But I'm not, even though I know how to instinctively hold a dance and play good music.
Yes.
I'm not the type to do all that.
So, but would you still call yourself DJ Lady Loy then? Would you take
I'm taking off the DJ.
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
I'm taking off the DJ because that is not who I am, and I've realised that. And even in the new talk host thing, I realise I'm more an educator.
Yes.
And then with the magazine, with the talk show, even through the music, I can play music, but I have to play a certain kind of music that sends a message and discuss that.
Beautiful.
So, that's what I'm learning about myself.
Yeah, beautiful.
But
and it's good because you're defining yourself, you see, and because you have to know yourself. Because I'm here to say with DJ Lady Lou, and because we know the difference, you can say, well, no, I'm really not a DJ. And
when I realised that, that female DJ
I was going to say, when did that event?
That was the defining moment, because we had all female DJs.
Yes.
And I went up there and I couldn't say a word.
Wow.
And this woman, one of the DJs came up to me, she said, Myrna, speak. All you've got to do is say anything. And I was, and it's not because I'm afraid, because I chat all the time. I'm a poet. So it had nothing to do with that, but there's something about that chatting that conflicts with my values.
Right.
I don't think it's educational. I don't think it makes sense. So I can't do it. And it's that point I said, Myrna, you're not a DJ.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I was the first one off, but that's just because I played a Trevor Dixon and he was born in Jamaica.
Okay.
And I didn't realise he was born in Jamaica. I thought he was born in the UK.
Okay.
But the music went really well and I got good feedback. But I did realise at that point, I'm not like that, talking about, McDonald's and, I'm hungry and all that kind of it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yes.
So that's when I realised if that's what you need to be to be a DJ, I'm not one. Yeah,
bless you. No, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. That's good. That's good to know. Yeah, because you're an empowerment speaker too. So there's a lot of things which you empower, which and sometimes the wrong title can sometimes misrepresent really what you're about. That's why I said it's good when people are able to define themselves, and if need be reclassify and say, no, this is what I am, this is, you know what I mean? So I don't call it DJ Lady Loy.
Yes, Lady Loy is fine.
Lady Loy, yes, beautiful. I know you want. Look at the time. You want to get out here about half nine. Look, just to round up. It's been. Currently, is there anything you need to make our listeners know? Currently, what you're doing, your contact details.
Well, the magazine, if you want a copy of the magazine, it's blackbrightnews@aol.com. But if you put Black Bright News in Google, it will come up. Myrna Loy, that will come up. Just make sure you put the artist, otherwise you'll get that white woman who's a film star.
Yes.
But or Lady Loy, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, so quite a lot of things are happening, but yeah, I am focusing on empowerment and educating and stimulating.
Yeah, beautiful. So ultimately, what is your mission? What kind of legacy? What is your dream? What is it you want to achieve? You know, and leave behind. You know, to our. You know, what is your legacy? What is your?
I just want to make a change. I want to make a difference.
Yeah.
And I think it is about, you know, if I can kind of, you know, even like with these young people, if I can get them to call in and find out what they need, you know what I mean? I'm also a counsellor. So it's about making that difference, making people feel better about themselves. That's what it's about.
Where can the listeners find you? What radio stations are you on?
I'm on Jamrock Radio, 10 till 12. On a straight talk, it's called. I'm on there with my 2 daughters. We discuss issues that impact young people more than anything else, as opposed to young people calling in. They can call in, but we're talking about the elders, how they can damage young people.
Wow.
Last week we did step parents and how people take on a spouse or a partner and don't even consult the child about having somebody in their life that could make that, you know, is going to make a big difference.
Big difference, yes.
So yeah, so it's topics like that. This week it's going to be about drugs, especially the legal highs.
Lovely.
That's available to everybody, and about the concept of beauty. What is beauty?
Right.
You know what I mean? The long hair, or whether it's, you know, the Rihanna, or whether it's Whoopi Goldberg, whoever it is, Ugly Betty. Yes. You know what I mean? Yes. Who defines what beauty is?
Very
so we'll be doing that stuff.
Beautiful.
Like that.
That's Jam Rock. What's the frequency? Where can people catch you?
It's 87.7 on FM, but that's only until the end of Black History Month. But it's www.jamrockradio.com.
Excellent, fantastic. And any greetings to some loved ones before you go, ladies?
Pardon?
Any greetings to some loved ones?
Let me just say, all my loved ones. Yeah. All my loved ones, you know who you are.
Myrna Lloyd, I tell you, Lady Lloyd, thank you once again for joining us on SFDC Radio, Nubian Beat with Kush Genesis. It's been an honor and a pleasure every time.
Okay, bless up.
Blessed love.
I don't know. This is Cassandra London, and you're listening to the sounds of Kush Genesis on SFDCRADIO.com.